leaders earn respect and do not demand respect. Leaders earn respect by being an example to other people. Their work defines their leadership and not their positions. Today, Global TV, in their leadership series, is happy to bring one such person whose hallmark is how to earn respect by doing things for others. We are very happy to introduce to you Mr. Lal Goyal and his words of wisdom on leadership, who has shown the world how to use leadership skills for humanitarian purpose. He is the chief promoter of a well-known resort in Mangalore called Pandit Resort, but he is better known for his pioneering work in the organ donation field in India and abroad. He is the chairman of Organ Donation India Foundation. I have known Mr. Goyal for more than almost a year now because I participated in a discussion. He has got a daily TV program which is live, Media Conference with Lal Goyal. I've been amazed way in which he has been conducting it on a daily basis, which brings very relevant topics, current topics to all of us, and brings experts who discuss on this subject. He is a winner of many accolades. I would like to welcome Mr. Lal Goyal to this discussion on leadership and how leadership has to be evolved and developed to help humanity. Mr. Goyal, welcome to the program and thank you for joining us today, for finding time for this program.
My pleasure and good evening, Mr. Tom. And I also give thanks for organizing such a fruitful and nice program, which I already heard.
Now, leadership is something which we think it's only with elders or people develop leadership as we grow in our career. But I want to hear from you. Did you show leadership at an early age in your life or it evolved as you grew up in life?
Mr. Tom, it all depends about your interest and your upbringing. In my case, I remember, if I recall, when I was about 11 years old, my father and my mother, my father being a very renowned tuberculosis specialist, and my mother is a renowned social worker, they wanted that our English to be improved. And at that time, because we were staying in Mathura, it's in North India, in its UP, and there the medium of schooling was in Hindi. And they were worried because they wanted us to stand alone when we will be going in for the competition, All India competition, or for any other competition in future. So they started one magazine called New Step with the view that we will get some knowledge and our English will be improved. And I was told by my father that you will be contributing one page every week, and that page will be of general knowledge. I was not prepared because I was only 11 years old at that time.
Right.
But I thought, let me try. Because what happens when we were even smaller at that time, even I can say when I was only 7 or 8 years old, my father used to get all the English newspaper. At that time, it was only Hindustan Times there. And he used to tell us that you can read whatsoever you want to read. And when we used to sit at the breakfast table, he purposely tell something like suppose the match is there between India and England, cricket match. So he says, yesterday there was match of hockey, and he looks towards me. It is correct. Then to show my eagerness, my knowledge, I used to say, no, it was a cricket match. So
That's interesting.
I think that one of this quality which he wanted or my parents wanted that we should get it, it was from the early age only. And when I started contributing this page of general knowledge every week, it not only improvised my English, my knowledge tremendously, but it also gave me a sense of that I can do something. And when I was about 13 or 14 years old, when there was a competition of general knowledge in the school of the state level, and I got the first prize. At that time, the feeling, the happiness, the prideness which came in me, then I decided that yes, why not do something which gives you a mental satisfaction, a pride. And I give this credit to my parents that if I have, although to be very frank, I never consider me as myself as a leader, but I feel whatsoever quality, good qualities only, which they have given to me, not the bad quality which I got myself, but the good qualities I must give my gratitude and thanks to my parents.
So it clearly shows as a message to the parents that we should start inculcating leadership qualities as youngsters in their childhood by giving them responsibility so that it will evolve over a period of time and they will become responsible leaders as they grow up, rather than saying you don't do it, give them a chance to do something and they will definitely develop. That's a message we can give to the parents who are listening to this program.
One thing I would like to add here, when we are talking about the youth of India today, because I am also doing programs every week for the youth only.
Right.
And I found that the youth complaints is very common, and they says that we are not allowed to do any work. And they complain when they have completed the age of 18. And I always say, why you wait up to 18? You can start doing work from 11 or 12 years. And when they compare themselves with a Western country youth, they say, see, there is so much opportunity. So and so has started his own startup in 18 or 19 years of age. So I say, but you must understand, in USA and other countries, the child start working from the age of 12 or 13. It is a part-time job, whatsoever he's doing. That thing gives a sense of responsibility. It gives you a different type of self-confidence in you, and that is very much required in India. That we must, the parents should allow the children to get this quality, and this quality is only possible if, as you rightly said, the parent should give the full chance by giving some responsibility. I will also add one thing. If you see the Indian women or the girls, why they are having lots of confidence, because they were especially in North India, I'm sure all over India, they were allowed to do the kitchen work from the very beginning. Right. Age of 10, 12, 13. Okay. That gives the response. It's not that they were supposed to do only the kitchen work in future. It's not like that. It is because it gives them the confidence. And this is one of the quality I consider for anyone who wants to be a leader, that they should try to give this quality to the child.
Let's hope some parents who listen to this will start thinking about it from your experience. Now, I just wanted to check whether, the leadership, it says, evolves as we grow up. In your case, has there been an evolvement of the leadership, in the sense you have changed your leadership styles over the period of time? I have become one of the youngest contractor in Indian Railway history at that time, that I started my career at the age of 18 as a registered contractor Indian Railways, because to become a registered contractor in Indian Railways, they used to check many things, including your background, your ability.
and
Yes.
I got my registration. A young boy of 18 years has to do the work for a range of almost 150 kilometers, the entire section in the railways of that time, from Kasganj to Achnera, it was under me. And I was quite young, and my colleagues, my friends, they were studying, or they were, it means they were not in business, and they
Right.
used to laugh on me that why at this age. And with one more thing which I experienced was that the children or the parents never allow the son or the daughter to do any work which give them feel that this is below the dignity. While in my
Yes.
case, although I was born with a silver spoon on my, but my parents never objected.
That's nice.
Might be that the education, because my father being a fully qualified tuberculosis specialist, a surgeon at that time, he used to perform the open chest surgery. He used to remove the parts of lungs, put the ping pong balls. And my mother, who topped the MSc chemistry in 1948 from Holkar College, Agra University, the entire Agra University, and gold medalist at that time.
Oh, wonderful.
So that might be one of the reasons. So they never objected me to venture out and to do anything whatsoever they want. Although few of the my father's friends commented that you have so much money, you are having two to three at that time, because we used to have two cars always, one for my father, one for my mother. My mother used to
Right.
drive from 1948-49. So at that juncture, they says no, whatsoever he wants to do, let him do.
Wonderful.
And that confidence in me, I can say that you have to lead with a labor of a few hundred people working in different stations, and responsible work. Because you are the only person working there. And the engineers accepted me, because at that time, I'm talking of early 70s, generally this was reserved only for very elderly people. That sense of responsibility. And I still remember once there was a inauguration of a station. The engineer insisted, we want the contractor's name on the stone, which was put it on that station building. My motto was always to do something good. If you are doing something good, you will earn the respect, you will earn the satisfaction, you will earn so much mental satisfaction that you can sleep. And to be very frank, I am now 67. I used to sleep without any tablet, and when I sleep very sound sleep.
Very nice, Mr. Goyal. I am surprised that your parents allowed you to take such a risk at the age of 18 to become a qualified contractor for railways. It's not a small joke, and I must appreciate that you showed your leadership quality. You were able to execute the work. I'm sure you would have taken a lot of effort to make sure that everything happened in the right way at the right time. So your leadership you showed from 11 years, and you took up such a high responsibility at the age of 18. I think the parents should wake up and look at this, saying that, okay, this is what we should do with our children, so that they will grow up with responsibility, and it will do very good for the nation if such a thing happens.
Somewhere in 82 or 83, my mother was awarded a gas distributorship under the social worker category in Mathura. I was asked to construct the godown and the agency with a showroom. Afterwards, I was asked one day that you have to take the charge of the entire distributorship. You have to sit there. And I was having no experience. But because they said, why you can't do it? I said, okay, I will do it. I sat there. Now, it is a very entirely different field where I was thrown. I accepted the challenge, and I was on the helm of the affairs for about 2 years or 3 years. And all of a sudden, my family decided that I should be shifted to Mumbai, at that time Bombay. And they says, you go to Ahmedabad. But I said, who is going to guide me? Well, no one. And at that time, again, I was thrown to a hot water, like a baby thrown in a hot water tub. So I went there. Fortunately, it was a very, very success. But in between what happened, if you are talking about the leadership, in 1982-83, I formed a Lions Club, Mathura Virat, and I became the chartered president of that. In this club, we will only have the proceedings in English. The idea, I was never against Hindi. I'm not against Hindi. But I know that if you are going anywhere in the world, if you are sitting for the competition, you should know the medium where you can communicate properly. Then I saw the changes, that how people are talking, the confidence of your public speaking. And that gave me a sense of confidence. And that's why when I was asked to address the brokers conference as well as press conference at that time. Now one can imagine a person from a small city with a no past experience of public limited company. In 85, late 85, 86, I was addressing the press conference, not only at Ahmedabad, afterwards, all the metros in the country. And it was a very, very success. So there again, there was a change that you can say drastic change. I started with a general knowledge one page setter, then became a contractor, then I was, and in between, yes, because we were having a hospital there, and they said, when you have time, when you are coming from college, you have some time, why not you sit at the reception of the hospital? My mother owns the hospital, but they never allow the feeling of the ownership. They never allow us that we feel that, no, we are the owner. They say, no, you are a worker. That feeling they wanted to give. So I used to sit at the reception of the hospital, and there I saw the pain and agony, what was happening. The child is coming, the parents, I was quite young at that time. One can imagine, hardly about 22, 23 years. And they were touching my feet. The mother is touching, please save my child. I was no one, but I saw those tears in the eyes of the mother. And I felt that such type of pain and agony is in the society. We should do something. We must do something. Sometimes I used to have a discussion with my parents. I says, why you are charging this much? Can't we make it free? So my mother one day told me, yes, we can do this thing. We are doing, because we are charging very less than anyone else. But if we will do everything free, who is going to pay the salaries of the nurses or the medical staff and everything, because it's a private hospital.
Correct.
At that time, I understood the value of money, that yes, when you are doing anything, business or anything, you require money. Even if you are doing charity, you require money.
Correct.
But money with a sense of dignity, with a sense of pride, with a sense of charity, humanity. If you do anything, any business, if you are doing with a humanity touch, you will get that pride, that satisfaction, the pursuit of happiness, which you will never get otherwise.
Actually, you have answered one question which I have with me. So you are a leader in the business world, as well as you are currently also a leader in a philanthropic organization, which is the Organ Donation India Foundation. That there is no difference between the two, as long as you keep humanity as the basis of whether you're running a business or whether you're running a philanthropic organization. Is it correct?
Yeah, Mr. Tom, I will tell you, once you are running a business, your aim is to earn money, no doubt. But as I told you, the earning money, there are many ways to earn money, but to earn with dignity, with pride, where the people feel, yes, the person is earning money, but he is earning money because of his goodwill, because of his good deeds. I still remember when I was in Bombay at that time, I used to do lots of, anyone who used to approach me, see, we are doing this concert, or we are doing this musical show in the aid of cancer patients. at that time, because I was having lots of money under me, I used to pay lakhs and lakhs of rupees as for their thing, and they used to call me, please come as a chair, as the chief guest. Many times I refuse, but sometimes I feel that I must go so that I can pass this message to everyone. And I still remember there was a big musical program in Andheri Sports Club. And at that time, about 25,000 people were there in that. And I was the chief guest of that musical program of a very, very famous music director of that time. All the leading artists of that time, the film actor, actresses were present. And when I was called on the stage, it's a huge, it's a full stadium, packed stadium, and I was asked to speak. And it was on the blood donation program. And at that time, I spoke and I only said one thing. See, we can have money, we will have money, but can we take this money with us? We cannot take. And at that time, because nobody was knowing about organ donation, I was not knowing, and it was not there in India. And blood donation, because blood was a very, very rare commodity at that time. Nobody wanted to give blood donation at that time.
Correct.
So I said that this is something where we can give. And when the time came, when the bomb blast took place in Mumbai, somewhere in 92, 93, I still remember I was in Australia. I landed in Mumbai and Mumbai was burning. It was somewhere in March, if I'm not mistaken, March 93. Mr. Sharad Pawar was the chief minister. He appealed for blood donation. I said, let's try. And I organized on one of my own diagnostic center, the blood donation drive. I gave my first blood. My wife gave the second. And then all the senior people started giving. And then we found even those persons, the watchmen of the society, they are coming in queuing. And within no time, we collected 84 bottles of blood at that time. And when
Wonderful.
I sent the message to the health secretary, Mrs. Shankran, she was the health secretary of Maharashtra, IS officer. So I said, we have collected 84 bottles of blood. Where to send? She said, Mr. Goyal, now the blood is so much, but we don't have the storing place, or we don't have the deep freezer to store. I told my people to buy a deep freezer immediately. We organized a program, and then we put all those blood, we donated that. I will not use the word donated. We have given to the, now that giving, I can say whatsoever money anyone can give, you earn or give. But when you are giving something for the society, that gives a tremendous feeling of happiness, which you will not get otherwise. And I have seen all the sites. I used to travel. I used to meet the top dignitaries of the country, whether they are bureaucrats, whether they are political leader, or they are business leaders at that time. I used to meet them. We used to have conferences, etc. But I found that giving anything is really give you the immense pleasure. So when you are talking of an NGO or a charitable institution head, or you are talking of a business head, in my opinion, both, if you are working as a head, your aim is same. You are earning something. Here you are earning the money, but that money, if you are earning with a good intention to give back to the society, then there is no difference, even if you are heading an NGO where you are day and night working to help the society without your personal gain. But both, in my opinion, there is no difference.
Very nice, Mr. Goyal, because you recognized the word social entrepreneurship, which is being used in a big way today in the business world. Say all of us should be social entrepreneurs. I think you recognize this much, much earlier to the word itself being used as it is used today. So I think you have covered it very nicely, saying that both your NGO as a leader or as a business leader, it doesn't make a difference as long as your basic motive is to support the society. One, you may earn money and keep a part of it for yourself, but the rest goes back to the society. The other one, you spend all your time helping the society at large in a longer run. I want to ask you one question. See, you have been a leader, and I've seen from what you have described yourself, you have always taken the lead, found out innovation when you're talking about starting the Lions Club in Mathura, and you said, no, we will only speak in English, which means you are always innovative and also you are willing to take the risk. You always walk the talk, like what you preach, you practice, which I'm sure all of us who have observed you or seen you will definitely agree, which I think is one of the most important qualities a leader should have. I want to ask you, you have been through many leadership roles. When I'm seeing your journey from 11-year-old who used to support editing a magazine to becoming a contractor at the age of 18, which probably is a world record or an Indian record for railways. And today you run multiple things at the same time. One is a business, one is a social enterprise or a NGO, and you also is in the media. Do you really enjoy your role as a leader in all these aspects?
My motto is only one: whatsoever you want to do it, but enjoy it. Till the time you are enjoying, you must do it. You are saying that I used to enjoy. Yes, I am enjoying my everyday routine. Then I will give you an incident. I suffered with a massive heart attack on 30th of July 2016 in London, and in the night. And I called my brother doctor in Mumbai, and he said nothing is happened. He said give phone to him, and he said immediately organize a ambulance, take him to the hospital. I was knowing that my brother is hiding, because in heart attack or any such type of thing, the anxiety should not be there. But I was satisfied. When I was coming out, I told my wife, she was also there with me. I said, I have no regrets in my life. I have enjoyed my life fully. And if I am going, if I will come back, very good. If it not, then also I have no regrets. And when I reached to the hospital, and the doctor later on I came to know that it was 100% of my LED, which is supposed to the main artery who takes the blood inside the heart, was blocked. And in medical, it says that within 2 hours, if you are not getting the medical aid, proper medical aid, you are not going to survive. And chances of survival is very less. Mortality rate is very high, and especially on a Saturday night. But I survived. And when I came out from the operation theater, I asked my son and they were very anxious, they were very disturbed with full time. I said, where is my mobile phone? And they were shocked to see my face. I said, no, I want my mobile phone. And they asked that, they saw the doctor. Doctor says, yes, you can give. As soon as I reached on my bed on the critical care unit, I immediately messaged everybody, and I started enjoying him in the heart attack. I always say, when anything, any adversity, anything, any problem, start enjoying. If you enjoy your problem, you will be getting a sense of confidence, and the day will come when you will overcome it. At that time only I decided I should do something more for the society. And at that time, this Organ Donation India Foundation was formed.
Excellent. Excellent. Very nice. It was, one thing which I have realized, that you do it from your heart and then you enjoy it. And any adversity, I think it's a lesson for any leader, that any adversity which faces you, if you start facing it with full confidence and you start enjoying how to face it, I think adversity will slowly vanish and you will overcome this adversity. It's a very, very valid lesson for any leader, because I'm sure all of us come across adversities and difficulties and problems. But our mentality usually don't allow us to enjoy that moment. The anxiety usually takes over. But it's a beautiful message from you, Mr. Goyal. I want to ask you, before we sum up, if you have to give 2 messages to youth at large who are aspiring to be leaders tomorrow, what would be the 2 messages which you would like to give?
I'm telling to my young friends, please try to convince the elders, because the risk-taking capacity is not there in the elders. Watch the you people are having. If you cannot convince your parents, how you can convince the others? if you want to become something, first you should show your leadership thing in your family. If you can convince your family, you can convince anyone in the world, because family, you always think for the betterment of you. They
Correct.
always think far. They are not thinking of today, they are thinking of future. If you have firm determination, you can convince your family, and the day will come when your own elders will start following you. That is my message to all of you.
It was so nice, Mr. Goyal, and I understand that your heart is safe because your heart is always with people, and I'm sure there'll be thousands and thousands of people who will be making sure your heart is sound and healthy and in good place. And thanks to the pandemic, we could meet at least on screen. Otherwise, I don't think I would have come across you so easily and so often. So there are always blessings on the other side of any coin. I mean, pandemic has its own pluses, its own minus. The only thing is we need to stay safe. That's the only thing. And really, I enjoyed the discussions with you. I could get a feel of how you have evolved over a period of time. And one thing which is very striking, it's the parents who should actually inculcate the leadership in the children by giving them tasks and making them achieve. Because you said when you won the first time, when you general knowledge prize, that was the time when you felt that I can do something. And I think that's a very, very important message to everyone who is listening to this. And thanks a lot for your time. It was very, very valuable, very enjoyable. I really enjoyed. I hope we will have more opportunities to have discussions like this. And we hope that this will benefit the listeners who are listening to this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tom. You have made me to sit the other side of the table. Otherwise, I used to do the hosting and I used to ask the questions. And today I have to answer. But it's really pleasure for talking with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tom, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.